Welcome back, everyone. Today we're taking a deep dive into business etiquette from the 1920s.
1920s, wow.
I know, right? We've got this amazing source, the Book of Business Etiquette, published in 1920.
Oh, that's got to be a gold mine.
It really is. We'll uncover how business etiquette looked a century ago.
And see what we can still apply to the modern world 100 years later.
Exactly. So the book starts off talking about the American businessman.
Okay, the American businessman.
And how American manners develop differently from, like, European manners.
Ah, interesting.
It says that early America, it was all about practicality and survival, not fancy etiquette rules.
Right, makes sense. Brand new country. Got to focus on the essentials.
Yeah. The book calls it a survival mode mentality.
Survival mode versus what?
Well, the book argues that as America became more prosperous, our manners shifted.
Shifted how?
It became more about, refining how we interact, especially in business.
From survival mode to...
Prosperity mode, as the book puts it.
I like that. It's a good way to put it.
It's less about just getting by and more about, like, building relationships.
And showing you can thrive when times are good.
Exactly. And the book actually has this great anecdote.
Oh, I love a good anecdote.
It compares the public be pleased policy
Public be pleased.
of the Hudson tubes, which was like a brand new transportation system then, to the infamous public be damned attitude
Oh, wow, yeah.
of, like, a powerful railroad magnate.
Talk about a contrast.
Right. It really highlights how American businesses started realizing
what?
that courtesy and customer satisfaction
Oh, yeah.
were important.
Keeping the customer happy.
Yeah. It's like we went from this rugged individualism to understanding we're all in this together.
We're all in this together. Yeah.
And that actually leads us to one of the book's major themes, courtesy as a business strategy.
Okay, so not just being polite to be polite.
Right. But actually seeing it as a way to, get ahead in business.
Interesting. What's their argument?
Well, the book argues that treating employees and customers well has a direct impact on your bottom line.
Ah, so happy employees means productive employees, and happy customers means loyal customers.
Exactly. And it's amazing how relevant that still is today.
I know, right? This is from 1920.
Think about, like, all the talk about building a positive company culture.
And having those raving fans as customers.
Yeah, it's like they were reading this book 100 years ago.
It's like they had a time machine.
And the book has this great example to back up their point. It tells the story of a jeweler
A jeweler, okay.
who, like, went above and beyond to help a customer, even though it wasn't, like, good business sense at the time.
So he took a risk.
Yeah. And years later, that customer came back and surprised him with a huge order,
Wow.
all because of that one act of kindness,
Proof that building those relationships really matters.
It really does.
Yeah.
And the book has a whole chapter on personality.
Personality.
Yeah, and how it's like a crucial element in business. It's not enough to just be competent.
Got to have that je ne sais quoi.
Exactly. You need to know how to connect with people.
You make them feel comfortable, yeah.
Right. So it's like finding that balance
What?
between being your true self and also, like, cultivating those positive traits that draw people in.
Like be yourself, but be your best self.
Exactly. And the book actually has this great line, be natural, but not naturally disagreeable.
Ooh, that's good.
I know, right?
That's going on a motivational poster.
Totally. And you know what? It reminds me a lot of the self-improvement and personal branding stuff we hear today.
It all comes back around, huh?
It really does.
So what's a good personality according to the book?
Well, they tell this story about a shoe store owner.
A shoe store owner, okay.
And when he retired, the person who took over was told to imitate his mannerisms.
To keep the customers happy?
To keep the customers happy. It's like the ultimate personal brand.
Amazing, yeah.
And this next part is where things get really interesting. The book has a whole section on telephone etiquette.
Telephone etiquette in the 1920s.
Yeah.
And think about it, the telephone was still pretty new back then.
That's true. It was cutting-edge technology.
But the book recognized its importance for business.
Ahead of their time.
And you know what? A lot of the advice is still relevant today.
Like what?
Like the need for clear, polite communication.
Oh, yeah, that's timeless.
No matter who you're talking to.
Whether it's a phone call, email, or even a text message.
Exactly. Even in our digital world, basic rules of human decency still apply.
You'd think that would be common sense. You would think. But, the book also has this funny observation.
What's that?
That telephone companies preferred hiring female operators.
Oh, why is that?
Because they were better at dealing with rude customers.
Wow. That says a lot about societal expectations back then.
It really does.
Yeah.
But haven't we all experienced telephone rage at some point?
Oh, for sure. Everyone's been on the receiving end of that.
It's a good reminder to, be mindful on the phone,
Definitely.
whether we're on a call or sending an email.
Take a moment to consider the other person's perspective.
Exactly. And speaking of things that haven't changed much, there's a whole chapter on salesmanship.
Okay, salesmanship, timeless topic.
Right. And it's surprising how much of it still rings true today.
So, what makes a good salesperson in 1920?
Well, the book highlights honesty
Okay, honesty.
and truly understanding the customer's needs
Makes sense.
and being adaptable.
Being adaptable, yeah.
Those are all about building trust, right?
Absolutely, the foundation of any good sale.
And I love how the book criticizes those gimmicky sales tactics.
Oh, yeah, the ones that try to trick people into meetings.
I said, like all the spam emails we get today.
So annoying.
Right. It's a good reminder that authenticity and genuine value always win in the long run.
No matter how much technology changes things.
Yeah, the human element is still crucial in sales.
Building rapport, active listening, those skills will never be obsolete.
I think that's a great takeaway for anyone in business.
It's all about building relationships, not just closing deals.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So far, it seems like even a century ago,
Yeah?
people understood that business success wasn't just about transactions.
It was about building strong relationships.
And treating people right wasn't just good manners, it was good business.
Character and courtesy, always valuable assets.
And maybe even more so in today's fast-paced world.
Absolutely, food for thought.
Definitely. So before we wrap up part 1 of our deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with a question to ponder.
I love a good question.
If this 1920s etiquette book was being rewritten for today,
Okay, yeah.
what new advice would it have?
Ooh, that's a good one.
And what would stay the same?
It makes you think.
Keep that in mind as you go about your day. Observe how etiquette plays out in your own business interactions.
You might be surprised by what you notice.
Until next time, happy connecting.
See you then. You know, I'm still fascinated by that shoe store owner we talked about.
Oh yeah, the one whose personality was so important for business.
Exactly. Shows how much we value authenticity.
Absolutely. But moving on, there's another chapter in the book.
Okay, what's next?
It's called Putting Courtesy into Business.
Putting courtesy into business.
It's all about how companies create a culture of courtesy.
So not just about individual manners.
Right, it's like a company-wide thing.
Interesting.
One of the key arguments is that a courteous work environment actually helps with productivity.
Oh, the classic happy employees, happy customers idea.
Exactly. And it's fascinating to see that this concept was around way back then.
1920, who knew?
Right. And the book goes beyond just basic working conditions,
So what else do they talk about?
It talks about creating a positive atmosphere where employees can share ideas.
Sounds a lot like the modern emphasis on collaboration.
Right. It's all about making employees feel valued.
And empowered.
Exactly. The book even mentions recognizing employees for their contributions.
Giving credit where credit is due.
Exactly. It's basic respect, really.
It all comes down to building a respectful and appreciative culture.
Absolutely. Okay, ready for another interesting chapter?
Hit me with it.
This one is called Morals and Manners.
Morals and manners.
It explores the ethical side of business.
Which is obviously still a big deal today.
Right. So we're going beyond just etiquette here.
So what kind of stuff do they talk about?
They stress honesty, integrity, fairness.
All the good stuff.
Yeah. And it argues that those qualities are super important for building trust.
And a good reputation.
Exactly. What I find interesting is how the book links morals and manners.
It's like saying good etiquette reflects good character.
Right. It's all connected.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So what else do they cover in this chapter?
Well, they talk about being punctual, reliable, taking responsibility.
Those are pretty timeless values.
Totally. And they also advise against gossip and negativity in the workplace.
Which can be so toxic.
Exactly. It's a good reminder that our words have power.
We should all strive to create a more positive environment.
Okay, now for a topic I think a lot of people can relate to.
Okay, let's hear it.
Asking for a raise.
Ooh, that's a tricky one.
It can be so awkward.
So what does our 1920s etiquette guide recommend?
Well, it says to avoid using personal problems as a reason.
So no sob stories.
Right. Instead, you should focus on the value you bring to the company.
Makes sense. Highlight your accomplishments.
Exactly. It's about showing how you contribute to the company's success.
That's proving your worth.
A raise should be earned, not just expected,
A good reminder for all of us.
Okay, ready for another topic? This one is Big Business.
Big business. Let's dive in.
It looks at how individuals can thrive in large organizations.
Navigating the corporate world.
Exactly. It stresses the importance of clear communication, respecting hierarchies.
Sounds familiar.
Right. It's still relevant today.
Understanding the chain of command, office politics, it's all part of the game.
The book also emphasizes taking initiative,
Okay, taking initiative,
but also knowing when to defer to authority.
finding that balance.
Exactly. It's about being proactive, but respecting boundaries.
It's a delicate dance.
And they also talk about being loyal to the company.
Okay, company loyalty. Right?
Working towards shared goals,
Oh.
being a team player.
That sense of camaraderie.
Exactly. And having a positive attitude, even when things are tough.
It all ties into creating a good work environment.
It really does.
Wow, this book is full of gems.
I know, right? And in the last part of our deep dive, we'll look at even more specific advice,
Like what?
like office visits, business travel, and social etiquette.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about those.
It'll be interesting to see what's changed and what hasn't.
Until then, keep those questions coming.
We'll be back to wrap things up and finish our journey through 1920s business etiquette.
Sounds good.
All right, we're back for the final part of our 1920s business etiquette deep dive. What else have we got from this time capsule?
Okay, so let's say you got to make an important office visit, right? Picture yourself in a bustling office building in the 1920s. You're all dapper, ready to make that pitch.
Okay, got the visual. What's the key to making a killer first impression?
Well, naturally, it's got to be the professional look, right? Well-dressed, composed, all that jazz.
Makes sense. Maybe not three-piece suits anymore, but definitely got to look sharp.
For sure. But here's something we might forget today, being respectful to everyone. Like the secretary, the receptionist.
Oh yeah, treating everyone with courtesy no matter their role.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It all contributes to the company's success, you know.
Right, every cog in the machine.
And check this out. The book warns against using tricks or gimmicks to get to a busy executive.
So basically, no sneaky stuff to get your foot in the door.
No, sir. Honesty and being straight up are the way to go.
It's like build that trust from the get-go.
Now let's imagine we're on a business trip back then. No internet, no Zoom, just you and the open road.
Wow, that's a whole different world. What does the book say about travel etiquette?
Well, it emphasizes being mindful of other travelers, especially when you're sharing space.
So, like, being quiet in the train car, respecting personal space?
Exactly. Consideration is key.
It's easy to forget those little things sometimes.
True. And the book also talks about striking up conversations with strangers.
Okay, so making small talk, networking on the go.
Yep. It says it's cool for men to chat, but don't get too chummy. Got to keep it professional.
It's funny how social norms change, right? What was polite then might be awkward now.
Absolutely. Shows you got to read those unspoken rules no matter where you are.
Makes you think. So what about mixing business and social life? Any advice from the 1920s?
Oh, yeah. They had a whole thing about business dinners and events, how to handle invitations.
I'm curious, were business dinners even a thing back then?
Oh, for sure. Big time. And the book stresses this idea of reciprocity. You know, if you get invited to a dinner, got to return the favor at some point.
Ah, so it's not just one-sided. It's about building that back-and-forth relationship.
Exactly. It's like business is about people, too, not just deals.
Right. Got to nurture those connections.
And get this, they even talk about table manners, conversation topics, even tipping.
Oh, they really covered all the bases.
It's like crash course in 1920s business socializing.
So what's the biggest takeaway from all this 1920s wisdom?
I think it shows that while some etiquette things have changed, the core principles haven't.
Like honesty, integrity, good manners, respecting others.
Those never go out of style.
And no matter how much technology shakes things up,
The human side of business is always going to be important.
building those relationships, clear communication, treating everyone right.
Those are the keys to success, no matter what year it is.
Well said. It's been a blast going back in time with this etiquette book.
Yeah, a real eye-opener.
And for everyone listening, remember,
What's...
even in today's fast-paced world, those timeless values,
Yeah,
they're still the foundation of good business.
that's something to keep in mind.
Until next time, happy connecting.
It's easy, yeah.